Hey everyone, welcome to What the Flick, Daredevil Season 2, Episodes 4 through 6. Kim, Alonso, Meredith, Bibbs.
Hi everybody, I'm back. Time Warner Cable let me watch Daredevil, so I can finally catch up with this this season.
Hooray!
Which is anyone else? We're halfway through it now. Anyone else feeling like there's a bit of a downward turn in quality from the first?
I like it.
No.
I like it. I'm not saying it's bad, but there was so much focus and momentum in the first season, and here, especially once we're getting the middle part, Punisher's already been apprehended. We're at this kind of Elektra's just showing up, and she doesn't feel related to that storyline at all. It feels a little bit more scattershot.
I'm really into these two characters, and I think they're really strong and kind of stealing the show from Matt and Karen and Foggy and co. So specifically, we're talking about 4 through 6 today, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Penny and Dime, Kinbaku, regrets only.
Right. I mean, I agree that the Elektra stuff isn't necessarily tied to the Punisher stuff, but I don't mind that.
Oh, I'm not saying that's terrible. I'm
mean,
just saying
I
it doesn't
feel-
feel very cohesive. It feels just like, and we're just do Elektra now for a little while.
I feel like it's all Matt's life, you know.
Are you ahead of us all? Or are you
No,
gonna tell
I'm
us how it
not. I'm
connects?
not ahead.
Okay.
I'm actually not. I'm watching this along with you guys.
Okay.
But I'm, and obviously being the, I'm looking at it from the comic book reader perspective. Is that I'm used to arcs. I'm used to like 6-issue arcs where you're going to have like a story that comes in and works and is succinct, and then you move into the next one, but it might have a little holdover.
Yeah.
And like that's how I'm really enjoying the season, because you had those first 3 episodes that it was the Punisher arc. Now we have the Elektra arc, but we're starting to see it tie in. We see some Castle. We see this Frank story coming in, and we start to actually see some lawyering coming in later on, but we're going to get to that much later. So I'm really enjoying this because as a comic book reader, they're writing this like a comic book, and it's awesome. It's fantastic.
Say it.
I can see
He's
that
got a little angry.
Yeah.
I know. Sorry.
Daredevil's
But yeah.
R-rated.
No, oh yeah. But I'm actually really loving it because a lot of what they're tying in, it actually is from some of my favorite moments from the Daredevil comics.
Well,
I will say this real quick. I think that by Elektra pulling Matt into her own storyline, it forces Foggy and Karen to take center stage with the Castle thing, so at least it gives everybody something to do.
Yeah.
But that happened last season, though, where Matt's too busy, so we have to have Foggy and Karen. It's a little repetitive for me, and I liked how like all of a sudden Matt's actually got to be at the centerpiece of the trial of the century, which every other trial seems to be, but that's fine. I actually will say what I do love about this, and especially coming off of Batman v Superman, which you guys reviewed, I don't know what you said.
You can guess.
This is, it's terrible. But unlike that movie, this is how you get superheroes, or at least vigilantes, to clash correctly. Because honestly, the fights between Daredevil and Punisher, just fine. They're okay.
What?
It's the
No.
philosophy. They're punching each other on a rooftop. I'm not impressed.
But also they're being fired at.
Yeah, I mean,
I saw it on Arrow
Is something
before.
well, I don't watch Arrow.
no, I think they're really brutal. They're honest fights. They're
They're fine.
Yeah.
I'm just not impressed. What I was impressed by was the adaptation, you talked about it last week, of, or in the last episode, the adaptation of that classic Garth Ennis story, which actually changed the ending, which I thought was very interesting, because Garth Ennis sided with the Punisher, and the movie obviously sides with Daredevil. So, the show. So they're handling that sort of idea. They're handling the concepts so beautifully well. And I guess I'm kind of waiting to see how the season's going to take shape, because Elektra coming in like she does out of the blue is sort of just this random element of chaos
love it,
so
though.
far, and that's kind of interesting.
Because she's kind of a selfish character, as we see all over the place. She doesn't do what Matt asks her to do. She deliberately steals his costume and does anything that she wants to do instead. And the way she's introduced is consistent with that character trait. She's crazy, and I love her.
And she's a conduit to some interesting backstory, I think. I think that her flashbacks with Matt actually illuminate something about him and his character and choices that he made along the way. And she's a tricky character to do, as if anyone who saw the Elektra movie would know. I think there's that danger of that sort of, I think, she can be this weird sort of fanboy fantasy. Ooh, she fights like a man, but she's curvy like a lady. But I think that she's actually interested and complicated and fucked up, and I dig her. I like this version.
Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying, the thing with Elektra, and especially it's you can overplay her. It's so easy to it's so easy to because there are moments where the actress kind of pulls me out of the moment with her,
right?
Because I'm like, is it Elektra that's overacting or is it the actress that's overacting in this scene? And it's a little like, disingenuous, but when she owns it, I'm so sold and I'm like, this is the Elektra that I've always wanted to see. And like that red dress scene on the episode 6 where it was so reminiscent of her comic book costume and her fight scenes. Like, and I like that we're getting like some of the obscured fight scenes like in the boardroom where we just see it like backlit. Like I'm really appreciating some of these things. That's not all like visual punching, but I'm with you a little bit with Elektra. It's pulling a little bit out of the storyline, but she's so essential. And it's like I feel like these mid chunks are to get to 7, 8, and 9.
Also, somebody has to be able to fight while Frank Castle's strapped to a hospital bed.
But here's what I'm going to say to continue my point. She's pulling us out of this plot. That's what she's supposed to do. I was actually complimenting it because she is the ex-girlfriend who you've totally grown past, or boyfriend, or whatever. She has not matured the way that Matt Murdock has. She is still incredibly selfish, at least when it comes to him and his time and his values. Yeah. So but she's obviously very charismatic and she's very tempting to him. I find this way more interesting than the version that they did in the movie, both the movies, the Daredevil and Elektra movie, which is just, she's the love of his life. She was so perfect. And it was just like, no, there's definitely an appeal, but no, she's got to actually introduce conflict into his life.
Exactly. Well, and he has this honest relationship with Karen Page, both in the comics and in the show. And I love him and Matt and Karen's relationship, how it's growing it's so beautiful. It's tearing at my heart.
Although it's hard not to watch it and think, oh, stop, you're going to become a drug addict and then sell his identity to
Do you
Kingpin.
watch it and be like, how soon is it she's going to die?
No,
I feel like it's setting her up that way.
Because I know Marvel changes enough from the comics. I mean, the Netflix stuff has been pretty on point. I'll give it that. They followed some of the comic lines pretty well, but
Ben Urich died and he wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true, yeah.
So I don't know how they're going to play Karen out, but I'm enjoying what they have.
She's driving me crazy lately.
Really?
Because she's not an attorney and she's acting like she's the top attorney.
Yeah, and a journalist.
Listen to Foggy.
You know who she is? She's Alicia Masters in the original Fantastic Four stories, where it's just like she's so saintly and perfect that even like Alicia Masters was like, the Silver Surfer will realize that humanity is worth saving just because this girl is nice. Yeah. Same thing with the Punisher, which we're going overtime to justify how sad and tragic his backstory is.
I skipped over that episode a little bit. Jumping from we started from the mass funeral with Finn Cooley, and he's such a badass. He has to poke someone through the eye at a funeral in a church.
Who uses ice picks anymore?
I know.
Come on.
Also, why the Irish, man? We're really the bad guys, always.
Well, I'm ticked off that once again we've got Frank Castle and not Frank Castiglione, where there aren't that many Italian American superheroes who are prominent, and the one we got keeps getting whitewashed further.
So you're complaining that there aren't enough Italians, and you're complaining there's too many Irish.
No, I'm not. I'm Irish. I'm just so finally. I'm happy to see my people get.
Oh, you okay?
Yeah,
all right.
No,
yeah, it's a plus.
The number
it's
of
visibility
half Asian girls
above
in the
all.
show.
Huh?
So I said I'm happy with the number of half Asian girls.
Yeah.
In the show.
There you go.
So I really liked Penny and Dime.
Yes.
Where we learned he's sitting at the carousel and you see him. John Barenthal is so good at this character. We just see him like tearing up.
He's broken.
And they give him a lot of speeches that could have been really deadly in the hands of another actor, but he's making them work.
He's fantastic.
Yeah.
He's fantastic. But this is my thing with Daredevil, with Punisher, actually. Punisher is a very tricky character because in the comics, he's interesting because he runs counter to all of these very simplistic moral superheroes. Traditionally, he's only been in movies where he's the only vigilante, and there's nothing distinguishing him from Death Witch, which they even reference in this series. So here, the contrast is very, very interesting, but there's this sort of fan person appreciation of the Punisher that says like, well, he kills all the bad guys, and doesn't that make him better? No. Well, but we're spending so much time getting on his side and even justifying what he's doing by saying, oh, he was shot in the head. He's probably got some sort of James Bond villain disease where that makes it, there's a reason. He can't just be philosophically like this. We have to have an excuse.
It's so interesting though, because he touches on like post-war PTSD, but it also speaks of a larger gun culture in America and how we think about, how we all need to be armed and how we have that ability to defend ourselves and take action. I mean, I wish we had more time to actually sit down and talk about this because there is a lot more to Punisher's writing specifically in this television show than we have.
And it's an interesting contrast, I think, with Matt, who is, on the one hand, a lawyer and believes in the law, and at the other hand, still feels the need to take the law into his own hands, even though he knows that there's a conflict there.
No, I mean, it's so telling of our current political state. This isn't me trying to force an agenda. I mean, I'm actually like, this is from interviews I've read with the showrunners and everything.
Even if you go back to the original Punisher, he was a Vietnam War veteran originally, and it was very much the Rambo motif. He went over there, he came back, you know, did
Rolling
change.
Thunder.
Yeah, and then it is Rolling Thunder. It's exactly Rolling Thunder. It's exactly Death Wish, and he brings the war home. There's a reason why his various series were called War Zone or War Journal. No. This wasn't vigilantism. This was a war. And he's still fighting. You know, and that's neat.
All right. Well, there's a lot of ground to cover here, and we can only cover so much. I know. I'm sorry. They're gesticulating at me from the booth.
Sheet of paper.
One bullet.
Go.
One shot.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right. Anyway, so yes, we're just scratching the surface here, but please continue the discussion in the comments. There's a lot to talk about here, and we'll be back next time with 7 through 9.
If we dare.
2.
2.
We'll be electrified.
Go!
Oh!
You're punishing me. Oh.